Here we are following the infinite thread with Brian Costello. Brian, you and I have chatted once before, and we were not recording it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to acknowledge, like, for me, the awkwardness of hitting record that I really am, like, hoping to be rid of. Like, rather be on this call as, like, the three of us are buddies, trying to coach ourselves here.
Right.
And versus, like, hey, man, what do you do? Like that, I just kind of think that stuff will shine through. So, like,
yeah,
you're a cool enough dude. I trust you. What's up, man? How's your day been?
What's up? Day's been going pretty good. Just got off another really awesome call a moment ago, group call. I agree with what you said, and I know that once that record button turns red, things can somehow sometimes change. So I'm cool with I like the idea that we don't have too much planned here, and just kind of keep it natural and organic. And I do remember that conversation, and I think that we should take a moment to reflect on that conversation, because I'm pretty sure I convinced you that you should start a podcast on that conversation.
Right. Somehow we got talking, like I'd been kicking around the idea. I believe our discussion centered around just the vastness and, like, how many opportunities people really do have to improve their life, and how, like, I've just continually struggled to fit it into some template. And, a lot of that's just me and my own resistance, but, long format seems to be the deal. And I don't know, maybe the medium is not perfect. We've had 4 awesome guests so far. I said I would do it if you agreed to be the 4th person.
Yes.
You're actually the 5th one, so I'm overachieving here.
All right, there you go.
But the first 4 conversations, like, have been awesome people. A couple of them that we've known in the past and are currently friends with. But, like, it still felt forced, like, unlike our conversation where we're like, hey, you and I are clearly cool and have a good amount of things in common. Like, rather talk about that stuff and, like, grow at this moment than, like, listen, dude, like, we've had like 17 listeners total on the so, like, it's not even what it is.
Yeah.
Us trying to talk to the guests, like, oh, whoever might be listening, it's not even what it is. It's like the 3 of us here.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, man, take it away.
I think it's cool because I think you're marrying. So, that type of feel that you want to have, but the good thing about the red record button, right? The good thing about it being a podcast is that it actually creates more of the opportunities to have these conversations. Because, like, you call up a friend and, like, hey, you want to jump on the phone and talk for an hour? It's like, maybe we'll get to it someday, or like, give me a call. But it's like, hey, it's a podcast. All of a sudden now it's like, all right, we set a time, we set a place, you have a link, you have it's tiny bit of expectation at least, and it creates it creates conversations that probably wouldn't happen otherwise, right? So there's a lot of that little extra step, I think, opens up a lot of opportunities. So I'm glad that you went through with it.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll see what it becomes, but the uniqueness of having the record button on, and then also, like, not being in person, we're looking to shed the feeling of it being like, hey, this is for somebody else other than us. Like, the weird thing is, by the time we listen back, like, we're already going to be having filtered it once. Like, you don't even like the way you sounded 2 days ago because, like, you feel different now. Time has changed,
right?
And so, like, the organic conversation in person is where it's at, because right afterwards, like, it's already gone. It's already gone to the ether, man.
Exactly.
You're evolved. I'm evolved. Mike's evolved. Hey, Mike, what's up, dude?
What's up?
I agree.
But I mean, like, so what's up, man? Tell us more about your day. And fuck, we probably have lots in common with just regard to daily practice, And
I would imagine.
More interested in that shit.
I would imagine so. So I just quick introduction, I guess, too. So I'm Brian Costello. my main focus, the main thing I focus on throughout the day is I'm a mentor for fitness coaches, specifically fitness coaches who are interested in going beyond just fitness and into what we call the other 23 hours of the day. So the name of my business is actually 023 Coaching and Business for the other 23 hours of the day. So it's, we're providing an opportunity for coaches to really go to a different level by starting to kind of go into that bigger realm of nutrition, sleep, mindset, stress, the mental, emotional, spiritual sides of the game as well. And it's really fun and exciting. And I like to think of these coaches as kind of leaders in the holistic revolution, really, and kind of returning to our intuition. Everything we teach is intuitive based, so not a lot of boring sciencey stats, studies, things like that. It's very much returning to nature, connecting with ourselves, connecting with each other, connecting with the world, our natural design and the environment that we were designed to thrive in. So anyway, sorry, I lost it. Just wanted to give you that little background. But my day. So where do we start with the day? So so I think a big part, and this kind of ties into what I teach, is a big part of what we teach is everyday habits, behaviors, routines, the little things that actually are the big things, really, right? And so that being said, my day is, I move through my day very intentionally. I bring intention. I bring intention to basically everything I do. There's not many things that I do that aren't serving a specific purpose in my life.
Right.
So I kind of like run things through this filter of like, what am I trying to get out of this? Like this action I'm about to do, what am I trying to get out of this? Is this the best choice to get me to that place? And then finishing it off with, is that really the place I want to go? Like, am I sure that's where I want to go?
Sure.
So, so I bring that filter to just pretty much everything I do throughout the day. And I think, and I teach people too, it's like, without even knowing what's right, wrong, good for you, bad for you, like once you do that, just having that and taking those moments of like, what, bringing attention to what you're doing and asking yourself, like, is this really what I want to do? Is this making me better? And all those things. That alone, not even knowing right or wrong, you're going to live, you're going to be healthy and happy. And
100%. Speaking their language for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll start by saying that. That's pretty much, kind of how I move through the day. I guess I should share the first thing I did this morning was take LSD, actually.
Nice.
Oh, boy.
I hope that's okay.
Having a day.
I don't know. What state are you in? New York State?
Let's not say what state I'm legal.
Yeah.
It's legal here.
I don't think they're going to write any articles about our conversation here.
Yeah,
dude.
right.
I think we're all right.
We're in the clear.
But anyway, I don't do that every day, I'll mention, but I did today. And actually today was the last day of a 10-week group microdosing program that I was following and doing, a kind of a group thing. So I know that kind of comes out of left field, but that's how I started the day, with some meditation, and followed it up with that. And so
taking like a very small dose, correct?
It's incredibly small.
Not necessarily like a hallucinogenic.
No, yeah, the term that they use is subperceptual. So it's a subperceptual dose. It doesn't, I do get some feelings of not really euphoria, but definitely like a nice touch of presence and calmness kind of to mix together. And I'm able to look at my day and some of the problems and things I'm working on and solutions I'm looking for. It allows me to look at them without being, with staying out of like kind of fight or flight, right? So I'm not like, oh my God, I got so much shit to do. It's just like, all right, here's what I got to do today. Here's the first thing. I know I'm not really sure what I'm going to do for this yet or what the answer is, but I know that once I sit down with it, I'll be fine. And then I have to do this, and then I'm not really prepared yet for that, but once I get there, I'll be fine. And it's just sort of like, I can just look at my day without that high strung mentality, and then just kind of move through more strategically.
No doubt, man. Definitely speaking our language with regard to just intention. One thing I always like to say is like, ask why, practice how. So like, why do you want to do anything? And then like, then the work is how we get that done versus like, I'm looking for an outcome from this.
Yeah. Right.
That's super cool, man. With regard to the drugs, I guess it's because always like people want to chat about that shit. No experience personally with LSD, but I find a similar effect when doing just a microdose of psilocybin. Never really done a protocol per se, but just like from time to time, just like pop a little bit of that. And it's like a extra helping of awareness, like almost rather than you have to use discipline or some sort of like strategic plan to get there. It's almost like, hey, by the way, remember you have all these things you can be doing, or you know, or you can be more intentional.
Yeah.
See opportunities that, you know, you were missing before in lieu of the noise of elsewhere.
Right.
You know, story.
And Brian, I'm curious, in my experience, exactly to what Kurt is discussing and what you've said, it makes it easier for me to find that place again when I'm not microdosing, right?
Yes.
Do you experience the same thing?
Yes, definitely. And that's actually one of the main things I shared. We had one of our last calls was on Tuesday. Well, tonight's the last call, but Tuesday we were kind of like summarizing in the group of like our main takeaways. And that was one of them, where it's like my ability to return to that state even when, you know, on non-dose days, because it's only once every third day, on non-dose days, and just in general, I'm able to kind of return to that state more quickly, center myself, ground myself, and really, you know, I don't know, you know, kind of where you guys stand on this sort of talk, but like really have a little higher consciousness connection, where more like I feel more connected to the divine, and I can kind of get there quickly, you know, as opposed to like I can sort of like drop into it.
Sure.
Center
And
I'm
picking up what you're putting down for sure.
Yeah. Cool, man.
I mean, easier to hold the two truths that like everything you do matters. That's why you want to be intentional about it, but also like doesn't fucking matter. Like in the grand scheme of things, we're nothing. It's like it allows you to sort of remove the ego or expectation of, you know, what else is out there. But like with that said, like I know that you and Mike and myself like are doing lots of other shit, which makes like a hallucinogenic aid be like helpful for us. Like we're not just trying to like party drug on this.
Oh, right.
You know, so you already mentioned like, okay, so you led into meditation. Like I guess if you don't mind, let's just continue on with like your morning routine. I imagine you have more shit going on after that.
Yeah. Good idea. So, well, it's a little bit, so today specifically was a little bit different. I actually started a new, like, kind of work schedule this week, which I'm really excited about, where there's like an aha moment recently where I'm like, I'm a fucking entrepreneur. Like, I own my own business. I don't need to be 9 to 5, right? You know? And I have a 1-year-old daughter. Like, I need to spend a lot of time on my business, you know, focus time. There's a lot going on. And, but I have a 1-year-old daughter, 1.5 now. And, you know, in the morning, my in-laws watch her for most of the day while my wife works. It's this thing where it's a temporary thing, but it's for a few months. But I didn't like the way it felt every day to sort of like rush her out the door to like drop her off, like you're in the way kind of thing, you know. And I started getting this feeling that she was starting to perceive that a little bit. So anyway, I adjusted my schedule now, where I'm going to be doing like 12 to 6 most days, where it's like, you know, so a little bit less time overall, but you know, more targeted and focused work. But anyway, so which is cool though, because now my mornings are not quite as rushed, and I'm spending a lot of time with her. We dance pretty much every morning, and I know you guys know Grant, right? So Grant kind of is a little bit my inspiration when it comes to the dancing.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
Get loose, baby.
Oh yeah, and it just feels so good. So it all depends on whether or not I wake up before her or she wakes up before me. If not, I go right into meditation. I'll usually spend just about 10 minutes or so in just silent. I try not to do, I'm not the, for me, meditation needs to be letting go of things. When I try to do like focused meditation, visual stuff and things, like it doesn't really work for me. Like
Same here.
Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. But yeah, basically, like I'm like focused all day, and like so when I meditate, my mind just wants to let go and wander. So that makes sense to you guys?
Yeah, completely
Cool.
agree.
Yeah, so I use another medicine usually sometimes as well called hapé, which is a Amazonian plant medicine. It's non-psychoactive, but it's very, very grounding. And so I'll administer that, and then it really centers and grounds me. And yeah, so I kind of just sit and I'll just focus on my breath. Usually have a little light music on, instrumental background type stuff. And like I said, I don't do much thinking, but then I will sort of outlook into my day, where I kind of like see the things I have coming up on the day, not in detail, but like see myself moving through the day, and I try to really look ahead with gratitude, right? So like looking ahead with, okay, I'm gonna go, like I'm looking at all these things I have to do as opportunities, things I get to do, things I'm excited about, like the work that I'm doing, even though the freaking web pages and all this stuff that like gives me headaches isn't what I love, but like ultimately I'm doing what I love. And so I kind of align my heart a little bit, kind of open it up and lead, so I know I'm going to move through the day with gratitude. So that's kind of the main focus of the meditation.
Hell yeah.
That's quite a practice. Yeah.
I know Mike's a little bit more of a strategic meditator as well, so I'm curious to hear from you, Mike, on what your current practice is looking like.
Yeah, I'm super happy to hear yours, Brian. I'm definitely going to take away from it, and nice to hear some parallels too, cool. In the experience. But I very much agree. For me, I got introduced to meditation through the Sam Harris app, and my dad has been meditating for 30 years, roughly, on and off, but mostly on. But he's very much not as mindful as you might think when you hear that. So it's an interesting way to be introduced to meditation, but he spent a lot of time in India and so on and so forth. But,
really? Okay.
So I really started out with Sam Harris, and he kind of guides you through, but the most successful for me, I couldn't agree more with you, is just watching my breath. I kind of base my awareness, my entrance to mindfulness at all was through centering. And, a lot that is based in your breath. So then from there, I got really interested in breath work. So for me, breath watching is my favorite kind of meditation. And just...
I like the term.
Checking
I like
in.
the way you said it.
Thank you. Just, is it fast? Is it slow? Is it in my nose? Is it in my belly? Is it, sometimes mix in the ujjayi, the like ocean breath, and where is that coming from? And very similar to you, just trying to kind of get myself in balance, right? Before I start the day. 10 minutes is about my max too. Today I did 20, oddly enough, but 20 I feel I need to lay down for 20.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Sitting cross-legged is tough for me, just mobility-wise, for 20 minutes straight.
Yeah, and I could pull you out of focus if you're like, oh my god, my freaking back's killing me, whatever.
Yeah, my hips just start to scream, and then it's kind of over. Then, well, it's not over. Then it just turns into practice at, let's come back to the breath. Let's come back to the breath, which is all practice, right? It's all great.
Right. Yeah, and I like the term breath watching. I think that's cool, and I like to start when I first sit and just notice first, because I've had some breath issues. I still battle. I had a really bad neck injury it's been 15 years ago now. But I swear I've never really breathed properly since, without being intentional, without the focus and conscious effort. And I'll notice that, it'll be very trapped sometimes. The breath is very trapped, and it'll be reflective of my mind state. If I'm feeling reactive and jumpy and can't focus, and then I go to sit down and realize my breaths are like shallow and rapid and just feeling trapped. And then I watch first, and as I just focus on that, then the mind starts to match, and I start to just feel more calm, feel more, centered and not all flighty and jumpy. So, I absolutely agree, and I like the term breath watching. That's cool.
Yeah, thanks. It's really cool to know that, it's helped you so much with past injury too. Everybody experiences the aches and pains. I know I do, and I've noticed that help too. But it's so cool to hear that something more serious, you can feel effects so quickly too.
Absolutely. And if I'm not taking the time to do that, I know that my default patterns will start to become anxious and just not ideal. We'll say that.
Totally. Kurt, I know we've talked. I know stillness is a little tougher for you. What about you and your experience?
Yeah, I mean, interestingly, over years, I grew up a meathead, and not just kind of ignorant to more mindfulness type practices. Like, for real, like I picked this side. I don't fucking stretch, over the years, as my movement practice morphed from lifting weights and being more in nature and playing a lot more, I seem to sort of have backed into these ideas, to the degree that I was definitely creating a very mindful practice of movement and focusing on certain things that it made my ability to tap into this, higher level of consciousness, much easier, especially when I start to link movement and breath in the way that it makes sense to me. I've experimented with still meditation and just kind of the breath watching. But for me, the breath is moving. So I just follow that. And so for me, my first 10 minutes in the morning or so, I'm just kind of rolling around on the ground, feeling my breath, matching gravity. My son's got climbing blocks and we got a Bosu ball and stuff down there. I'm just laying across it, breathing it a couple times, couple reps here. And each breath is mindful. I have a difficult time with stillness because we're just vibrating like crazy right now. Anyway, what stillness is an illusion. So,
what's difficult for you? If you were just I'm going to just sit cross-legged for 15 minutes. I'm just curious. Do you just feel talk me through?
I have done it. Definitely not given it a fair shake. However, I'm enjoying the benefits of what I get with adding movement.
Right. Okay.
I feel I'd almost just be missing that part of the equation for me. Yep. Because what makes me tick is movement and feeling out rotation and all that. So here's an opportunity to do both things. I'm definitely able to turn the noise off, definitely at peace, tapping into parasympathetic. Perhaps it's just opportunity cost for me.
Yeah. No, I hear you 100% on that. And I actually, my after work, when it's time to turn down, I want movement also. And walking, hiking, biking are big ones, or I'm swinging the mace club, kettlebell, something where it's got a little bit of a flow aspect to it, and but it's super meditative. It's not I'm not chit chatting with people. I'm not flipping through Instagram, between sets or whatever.
Of course,
I'm there. I'm very present with it. And again, you're right. It at least at that time of the day for me, to meditate without moving would just kind of feel like you said, I could just be doing both. You know what I mean? I could be getting more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Just for some context, first thing in the morning already, I have two my phone's away from the bed. Also, we unplug the Wi-Fi and stuff at night.
Nice.
My thing's in airplane mode. I'm curious. This is probably something that you're doing too, as well, right?
Yes, definitely.
But like, my wife wants to have her phone on cellular to be able to, be reached in emergency, which I get. I don't know how you.
Yeah, so
that's just kind of an aside, but.
Yeah, no. It's a bit. I love this topic. It's So first of all, I'm in airplane mode from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. Like, basically, the last time I touch my phone at night is either between like 7:45 and like 8:15 or whatever, and I'm setting my alarm, whatever. Airplane, boom. My wife does the same thing. I'm not overly concerned about that. So like, we're going to bed anyway. So there's not like much I can do in like an emergency situation. I kind of just live with like, that might happen once in 5 years.
Sure.
So I'd rather be able to turn it off every night and just know that the one time someone needs me in the middle of the night, I'll just find out in the morning. You know what I mean?
That's fair. I mean, like, is your family close? Because our family all lives close too. So I don't know. My wife's a little bit less. She's slower to.
I get it.
Her own awareness.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm not saying she's crazy, but that's just how I look at it. Like, and I've been doing this now since, like, I've been in airplane mode by 8:30 at night now for probably at least 3 years, I'd say, maybe more.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Evolving practice.
Yeah, and it's almost every morning when I finally flip it on, which at this point I'm like, all right, here we go, like flipping it on, get a bunch of text, and I'll almost always have text, emails, whatever, and like I can't think of one time where it was like, shit, I really wish I would have seen this sooner,
Yep.
Many times it's people texting me multiple times because the first ones didn't go through and they didn't know why, because it's only like 8:15 at night and they're like, why isn't he answering? And then most of the time I don't even explain that. Once in a while, I'm like, hey, sorry, I was unplugged for the night, blah, blah, blah. Other times I just like pick up the conversation and say, oh yeah, whatever. Like, don't even have to pay mind to it. And
same here.
Yeah. And I think, you guys are old enough to remember when it was like, house phones only, and you didn't call people after 8 o'clock. You just you were mindful of that. And this day and age, I think it's just, we're too connected. Well, not real connection, but we're too available.
Yeah.
And it's
100%.
It's like, I really, no offense to my friends or anybody, but like, I don't really want to be in a text conversation at 8:30 at night as I'm like getting ready to get in bed and like winding down. I just, I don't want to be once in a while. I'll have to quickly, hey, just want to make sure you're good for tomorrow. Like, kind of one of those type of things, or like, what time are you going to be here tomorrow? Like, whatever.
Of course. Intuition, right? That's where you're practicing the skill.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to make a text message, it's not like, oh, I fucking broke my rule.
Exactly.
Just send a text message and go back on airplane and put it in the room.
Exactly.
I hear you, man.
But I don't want to be getting involved in, like, I just don't want to be getting involved in conversations or on Instagram. I don't have social media on my phone. I don't have the apps on my phone. But the last thing I want to do is like taking all that in as I'm trying to wind down for bed. Like, I want to be alone in my bed and like.
See, I knew. Yeah, we had a lot in common here.
Yeah.
So I'm literally, before I even turn the alarm off. I've really never been a snooze person, to be honest. Like,
nice.
Since college, it's just been like, I'm up, doing this. But I already have two like consciousness anchors getting out of bed. Like, are you familiar with Goda? Have you heard of these Goda things? All right. Regardless, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But like, I'm pretty deep with it, and it's like it offers me consciousness at every step. So I'm awesome. So literally, I'm already like, my first step out of bed is like, I'm noticing my foot antennas, and I'm fucking already setting myself in spiral.
Right.
And then noticing my breath on the way over to the phone. And then so like from there, I just put the phone in the bath. Not even in the bathroom, wherever. I'm fucking weird about that, but wherever, I don't check it before I just make sure I have it when I leave the house. It's just kind of like around. But so I'm just kind of like tapped into movement already for the day. But
I think that's awesome, and I wouldn't mind. So I'll share that, like, so without getting too deep into this, so that neck injury I talked about was also followed up not too long after with a really bad head injury. And from for both of them, there was noticeable effects in the changes in my life. Most of which I just either kind of ignored or buried or weren't as bad for a long time. But in the last few years, I've started to really, the issues have gotten worse in some ways physically. And one of the biggest issues I have is my gait. So it's stemming, I believe it's stemming from my eyes, because they don't focus and track together at the moment, which comes back to the head. But my gait is a huge issue, and it's actually becoming so much of an issue. It's maddening. It's literally maddening, where I have no rhythm to my gait. It's like this cyclical, I have to think about walking all the time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely maddening. It's been a few years and it's been getting worse.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I'm working on it.
But yeah, I'm curious. Continue.
Yeah. It's a thing for sure. But for me, I like what you said though, because like for me, my first steps every morning are like a reminder of that in like a bad way. You know what I mean? Because like I get out of bed, it's actually the worst in the morning. I almost have to like, there's times it's like I kind of feel like a baby deer, you know, like that kind of like, you're picturing the baby deer in the morning. That's what I feel like for my first few steps of the day. And it's like, because of the way I breathe when I sleep too, I'm very like, just sort of like kind of twisted in the morning. And it's not painful, but it's very uncomfortable, and very just, you can't ignore it. So this GOTA has been a new discovery for me. I haven't quite dove in all the way. I've just been kind of poking around. But I'm guessing you're enjoying it.
Oh, dude, I'm super deep. First of all, I think we did talk last time about the WEC method, right?
Yeah.
So,
right.
like, I'm coming to realize there are some distinctions here, and like, without being too, I really trust my own intuition, really, versus any, more of a Jeet Kune Do approach. Mm-hmm. But like, I'm more on the side of the fence of what like Goda's saying with regard to like the pivot point of your foot being the front outside corner and it rotating internally to like propel you forward in your head, But when I first heard David Weck on a podcast, my mind was blown, man. I straight up listened to it a second time, like right then. It's like a black swan event. Like the things he was describing was the things that I was feeling, and unable to articulate that to my clients and people that I was, I just was trying to encourage them to play and, and do functional training. I don't know. But also, like, I was missing the ability to cue that. Mm-hmm. What I was able to feel and, climb trees and do this crazy shit, backflips and whatnot, was not what I was coaching.
Yes. Right.
So the gap grew, like, wider and wider between, like, what I'm able to do and what I'm able to help other people do. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
And, like, the coiling core thing was like, holy fuck, I was raised in functional strength training, like keep your spine aligned, two-dimensional type stuff. And again, like my own practice started to get more into MoveNat and stuff like that, but like I still missed that part when coaching others. I was already, quote unquote GOTA.
Yeah.
Like I learned to move that way because I've been training barefoot for fucking 12 years and going out in nature barefoot, and I think the alternative of like the duck feet type of thing that you see so rampant, like, is uncommon if you walk on 3D surfaces.
Yeah.
Like your body will self-organize in such a way, but like the people I was coaching, I didn't have a way to be like, it's really easy to just start tweaking this stuff. So like I've just been on that rabbit hole for like maybe a year and a half, and COVID really like caused me to sever ties. I mean, I haven't been back to a gym since, and I've literally 90% of my training is like with a rope or a stick, and I'm just fucking swinging around or climbing a tree, and I'm way less jacked, to be honest with you, but like
Me too.
movement feels amazing. I feel light as ever.
And that's all I'm trying to get back to right now. It's like, I don't care. I just want to, when I get out of bed in the morning and move, I want to feel like an athlete again. I want to feel good. I mean, I was a high-level beach sprinter. I won 5 national championships as a beach sprinter.
Wow.
Right.
So, and within like 2 years of my last title, I'm having trouble like walking. Like something's not right. So like it's like I'm like, I don't care if I'm done, I'm retired. I don't need to get back in the sand. I don't need to do that. I just want to feel good moving around, like the athlete that's capable and confident. So and I get that. Like I'm like, let the gains go, like let the ego, like there's no ego there. I just want to feel good. So that's what's.
Can I interrupt you just for a second, because I'm not that familiar? Like I'm having trouble picturing beach sprinting, but like I'm wondering if the way that you want to push off like encourages more duck feet. Like, is it more like ice skating?
No, not really.
All right. It's again just for my own freaking.
Yeah, no. So it's actually. I'll have to send you like a video or something sometime. So the event is actually
badass, though. I mean, regardless, congrats on those national championships. Glory days.
It's actually the event is actually called Beach Flags, and when I say, national championship beach sprinting, it's like it's not really like open to the public. It's not like there's this thing. I was a lifeguard, an ocean lifeguard for about 12 years, and this is like a big thing that we do. But the event is really strange. It involves you actually start lying down. You have to get up from the ground and run, which is now sounding even weirder as I say it out loud.
No, I'm all about it, man. That's pretty much what my training looks like. So
right. It's very short. It's a series of 20-meter sprints. So, for example, each heat starts with like 12 people, and there's 11 flags. So everybody turns, runs, dives for a flag. One person doesn't get one is out. And then the next round has 11 flags, 10 people, 10 people, whatever.
That's cool.
And all the way down, and that's a heat. And so nationals will have like 150 or so guys, heat by heat by heat, and it goes all the way down. And then the finals is, down to one-on-one, the last flag,
So you're contact too, bro?
It's there's a lot of, you can't really have like intentional contact, like grabbing, but, it's such a, like, literally, if you have a step on the field, you're like way ahead. Like, because you can only get so far. Yeah. It's a 3-second race. It's a 3-second race.
That's what I'm envisioning.
So it's like everyone takes, those 2.5 seconds of running and a dive. Everyone's kind of diving. And those divings are kind of like, smashing into each other, crisscrossing, diving in front. So it's a really cool sport. It's really fun. It's very obscure, but it's very fun. So it's cool. I have to send you a video.
It's off track. Like, that's just what we're doing, though.
That's fine.
What life is.
And but I went from that, I made the world finals twice. I was traveling in all different countries, and like within a few years, like I was just having this breakdown. And there's a million reasons that I'm a part of my theory, but I'm curious. So they brought me into a lot of the holistic healing that I've done is because of this. But it also has brought me into a lot of different movement patterns. So it's what got me out of standard barbell linear movement. I don't really do that at all, although I happened to deadlift yesterday for the first time in like a year and a half. But other than that, I really haven't been doing much. But I think I was first turned on to like functional patterns, and I found WEC, and now GOTA. But so I'm curious if you're cool with the conversation going this way. What do you see as the difference? Like why WEC? Like why the transition to GOTA? Or what's the main difference?
I'm going to be hesitant to say I'm transitioning.
Okay.
GOTA or whatever. Like I'm disinterested in like where things are different. Everybody's going to move differently, you know. For myself, the way I understand it, and I've actually reached out to a couple people like asking for distinctions because to the layperson and even to someone who's been studying this shit forever, it's very confusing, right?
Yeah, I haven't really been able to identify them.
They're you're kind of connecting it to whatever the metaphysical or spirals of the universe, which from like a quantum perspective, you can't argue against it, but it's also like, all right, well, like, you have to be able to prove that too. But I ultimately imagine like you've been able to feel vibrations and frequencies, and that's what the ocean breath comes from. Mm-hmm. You're connecting, whatever to those vibes. I dig that about them too, but ultimately I see Weck's distinction with regard to locomotion. Mm-hmm. There's more of like a piston action that you're using the downward like ground reaction force to go up.
Yeah.
And Goda is more of like a pressure wave on the outside part of your leg and shifting across.
Yeah.
And so like there's never a time where you're like more tense. You're just sort of like sharing the energy through your body.
Yeah, Goda's a lot more kind on your body.
Interesting. Okay.
As far as I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, again, like it's hard to draw the line in the sand, but like just from that distinction alone, the pressure wave describes more of what I feel.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And again, this has been just like my own exploration. I'm hundreds of hours in. I mean, when I go for a hike, I bring the rope or just a stick, and I'm doing like figure eights, throwing shit around, and like it's not planned. Like I'm sort of like just letting the energy go and minimally intervening, But again, like I can tap into some more like Weck method piston stuff if I want to.
Right.
But it doesn't feel like the way I would like sprint and be a running back as much as it's like just teaching you how to use rotation to be strong as fuck.
Yeah.
Which is cool too.
Yeah,
I really I came from strength training, but for the last 7 months, man, like I don't lift weight.
Right.
I've got a 26 pound kettlebell, various clubs, sticks, whatever. Right. I mean, I just do plenty of carries at work. We're a construction company.
Right.
And again, I'm not as jacked, but like, fuck, it's just in the last year, my ability to move and just like know what it is I'm training is so much better.
Right.
And like chasing, I'd been like chasing what this is. Couldn't really like walk like it. I wasn't training my strut.
Right.
But now I am.
Right. Yeah, I got it. I'm very interested in. I need some I need like some basic like instruction. Like I watch all the slow-mo videos and I'm like, okay, this makes sense, but I'm not really quite sure what I'm looking at or how to do this. So, but Mike, are you dabbling with this stuff too?
Yeah, without giving you my entire history here, sparing us all that, I entered into things more from the breath route, like I said, and then my movement practice really began in yoga. So it was a really easy way to link breath and movement for me, and then just being Kurt's best buddy, when he got into Weck and had his black swan moment that he mentioned, he shared that with me. So then I started tinkering around, and he gave me a rope like right at the beginning of COVID. And then I just kind of been doing my own thing with it. And then when Goda became more popular, let's say, I guess, and showing up on Instagram and things, I started really looking at that. And I reached out to one of the coaches out in California and asked him some questions because I'm a baseball coach. And it's clearly an advantage for rotational sports, let alone all movement and health. So basically I got the 6 laws of Goda from him, and I've been creating drills based upon my own experimenting and investigating as Kurt is doing, and my knowledge of baseball and how to teach like I used to traditionally, and just kind of blending them together as slowly and it's the right word, coherently as I can so far for the team. So I'm teaching
Right.
it to the whole team, and
That's cool.
pitchers are up multiple miles an hour, exit velocities are up multiple miles an
Nice.
hour, arms feel better, guys are bouncing back quicker. I certainly feel better. I'm now like go-defying my yoga.
Nice.
So that's kind of the stage I'm in now, but
Yeah.
it
I'm glad we're talking about this. This is what I need to hear this today. Like,
Yeah, that's the intention of this, man. We're coaching ourselves, each
Yeah.
other. Like, I don't care if anybody's listening, to be honest with you. Like,
no, it's cool though.
we're here doing it. You know?
Right, and it's cool though because I need. So one of my coaches that works for me, Matt, brilliant guy. He actually used to be the head strength and conditioning coach at Syracuse for lacrosse and football.
nice.
And now he's big into, he again kind of started with WEC and kind of now he's into the GOAT stuff, and he has the book. I don't know if it's an ebook or whatever he was telling me about. So we're gonna start messing around. We're gonna start we're planning on getting together a few times a week to work out now. And
I will tell you, the ebook is pretty. It's pretty rugged. Like, it's rough. You're not
Okay.
gonna have too much of a blueprint for it, but like, Mike, make sure you send him like the 6 laws
yeah, that would be cool.
of GOTA. And ultimately, he Mike already alluded to like GOTAfying his yoga practice. Like,
Yeah,
for me, because you're already doing a bunch of movement practice, like, try to be intentional about only pivoting on the front outside corner of your foot.
okay.
And it might feel super awkward, but like, even when you're walking, just like balance on that part.
Right.
Because what happens is then when you start to incorporate a club and a rope and you're able to peel enough tension, you don't have to program it. The rope will go that way and your body will go that way.
Right.
You'll find singularity in it versus like, these are the drills you should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be honest with you, I've got a lot of resistance lately against programming anything, a protocol against anything, because like, admittedly, growing up in this more functional training in CrossFit realm, like, I fancied myself pretty slick because I knew how to like lift a lot of weight and get other people to be able to lift a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like mind blown to be like, I may have been doing harm to these people.
Trust
and
me,
like and also like, I don't even need to be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID hit. And so like, I guess I'm just expressing like, I've been very humbled about like, how am I going to tell anybody else what to do?
Right.
Because I thought I was an expert at this thing, and I don't really think I'm an expert at anything else.
Yeah.
And now I know I'm not an expert at that. You know what I mean? And so like,
that's been a big thing for me too. It's like, shit,
I've been a bunch of times.
Yeah. I've been like, shit. First of all, I was like the movement expert for a decade, basically, and all of a sudden I'm like, I don't even know how to walk right. Like that's tough on the ego, And
Sure.
I should mention too, so like a lot of the issues that I was having with gait and breath that were leading me towards these sources, I was also like trying to, take bits and pieces and try it and see what works. And does this feel right? Does that feel right? And then I'm always like, well, I don't even know if I'm doing this right. It's like been this thing for me. And then like the further I go into it, I'm like, I'm finding these areas that are more and more complex. And I'm like making this worse. Like I need to like, I need to just have like 3 main things that I know I'm doing right all the time and just focus on that. Like, it's been like this weird downward spiral. Like the more every time I put in, it's like I go the wrong direction. But yeah, it sounds like the 6 laws thing could be a really good start for me.
Yeah, and again, like he said, GOTAfy your practice. It'll make sense. We can even chat more offline or whatever.
They're really
send you a video. But Mike, like, what? I guess that this will help all of us. What couple of drills do you have like the team doing?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe you don't necessarily like go through it right now, but if you could try.
Totally.
I mean, I don't
Let me just turn my computer here. And all right. So, like, first thing that we do is I call it go to walk. So we just walk, and it's in slow motion. So like the first law of GOTA is feet straight. All right. So like you just stand still, make sure your feet are straight. You look down, great. Then second law.
not outward.
Right.
I say parallel or less.
Yeah.
Right.
So that part's easy for me because I tend to come in anyway. But okay.
And then, like, again, not to go through all of them, but law 2 is inside ankle bone high. They talk about that all the time. So, like, boom, you just feel that while you're standing. So basically, like, we start our whole practice centering in Goda. Okay. So we stand well, and now they know that when I say, hey, let's stand well, that means let's stand in Goda as well, because that's just the way we stand and move now. So
got it.
Then we just
cool.
walk.
Yeah. Which is butt back. So it's like, I don't know, maybe we'll do another one, but we'll send you the thing and dick around with it. And yeah, we're learning too, so it's fucking
I was gonna say, yeah, like I'd love to if you guys could send me some stuff, that'd be really cool. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't take up too much more of the show on it. You guys teach me how to do it, you know. But,
hey, it's all good, man. That's the fun of this thing.
I'm glad. I'm like, it's funny because like this just whenever I do these types of things, I know that there's always a reason, and there's always like, it always turns out that there's like okay, like that was the reason, like that's what I needed to hear today. That's the part of the conversation that was meant to happen today more than anything. So for me, at least, you know, I don't know if I've been able to provide anything like that for the listeners yet or whatever, but for me at least I have that moment, that justification. So that's cool.
Well, and that's what it's about for us, that's for sure, is giving you or anybody or ourselves that moment, right?
Cool. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I'm very much...
go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, kind of changing the topic, we're sort of staying on. The idea of these sort of infinite spirals and spiraling motions is like, you know, I spend a lot of time in nature and studying nature. And one of the things that's at the kind of root of what I teach is that everything that we could ever need to learn can be learned by observing nature, by our natural environment. And because that's all we ever had, right? Like as a species, books
till the last little blink of time.
Yeah, exactly. And I say books, like, you know, information like doesn't come from books. Information is put into books, right? Like anything that's ever been put in a book or whatever has come from somewhere else first and whatnot. And in that observation of nature, one of the things that I know, I'm pretty sure they say this, I know Weck does and whatever, is like, there's no straight lines. There's no straight lines in nature. Everything swirls, and I eat a lot of, I eat a very light-driven diet. So like a high sunlight diet, meaning lots of fruit, fruit and watery plants. And most of them have, almost everything has this sort of like, you know, sacred geometry of some sense right in the fruit, right? Whether it's the kind of Fibonacci spiraling or just the fractal patterns and stuff. And it's just like, and so that's what, when you said the black swan, like when I first heard Weck kind of talking about that, I was like, ears perked up. I'm like, I'm listening. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, his stuff is like, sometimes like it was so scattered and like all over the place, and I never really got like this like sequential step by step of like this is what he teaches, but this idea just it very, very much makes sense to me. So I'm glad we got to get into it.
Yeah, I can speak as well as more of the beginner, because like Kurt was, as he said, you know, trained. Whether it's in the flow arts or not, he was trained, and I was just like a broken down college catcher who worked out like crazy for a few years after college and beat the shit out of my body, you know, and felt like I was 50.
And then you were fat.
Yeah, and then I let it go.
Don't forget that, Mike. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, don't forget when you were fat last year.
Don't worry, I won't forget. Because I feel like a new person, you know, but what's cool is, and what, from listening this whole conversation, you know, all of us, but specifically listening to you two go back and forth about the Goda, you know, it's this layering of stuff as we come across it, right? Like breath started there. You were describing your morning, you're layering your stillness into breath, and then you move around a little bit. And it's just such a cool ebb and flow. And no matter what, I feel like we kind of all end up back at the same place of like, yeah, it's breath and movement linked together, being grounded and centered.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then that extends out. Like, then you're intentional with your language. You're intentional with the conversations you're even having. Like you said, like, you don't need to be in that text conversation at 8:15 at night. Fuck that.
Right.
It's not expanding your life.
Exactly.
You know, expanding your life would be to power down and do the thing that's like makes you weird to most people.
Yes, exactly.
You know, unplug your Wi-Fi? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to tell you, bro. Yeah, I'm unplugging the Wi-Fi. You could do it too.
You don't have to catch me in the morning.
Don't. You just don't.
That's awesome. That? Yeah, it's like like to go back to kind of that conversation. It's like the intention side. It's like very, very. The word I used this week when I was talking to somebody about is I'm very frugal with my attention, like what I allow into my mind. Really, like things that I consume, things that I watch, anything that comes across my screen. I'm very, very frugal about it. I don't give my attention away very easy, which is why I don't have social media on my phone.
Yeah.
I won't just. It's our most valuable. One of our most valuable commodities, assets, currencies, whatever you want to call it. And we just like hand it, like people are just so like willing to just hand it over to anyone, and I'm like I've gone so far in the other direction. I'm like, I don't want nothing. I don't flip channels. I don't flip through radio. It's like everything goes on with intention. Everything is. If I'm gonna let, especially when it comes to podcasts or learning stuff, if I'm gonna let someone influence my thoughts, like I'm very open to I'm open to all different ideas, but I don't just walk around just letting people just fill my mind up with their blabber all day long. I'm very I'm gonna listen to this guy because he deserves my attention type of thing. Or girl.
Yeah. What you're saying very much resonating with myself and Mike. I mean, these are the types of things. We're in sort of solitude with some of this stuff. Like I said, it does tend to make you a little weird in some circles. Obviously you're cultivating your own professional and social circles as well as just kind of part of what you're doing. So if you're not into this, that's cool. But then like you might not be worthy of my attention anymore.
Yeah.
And like that's also okay. Another thing we can learn from nature. You said like the spirals, but it at least is like here in the fourth dimension of time. Like it holds all the past, but it's like it's not stopping. It's only going one way, and that's honestly like the infinite thread. You don't really know what the metaphor is specifically, but we've been thinking about like your attention being this thread that can go almost anywhere, but like it's got a past. So your attention's limited. It's infinite in its potential, but like everywhere you go, though, it's like time is only passing this one way.
Right.
So like, did you allow that podcast to influence you in a negative way? Like you purposely put on Fox News, like you just knowing that was going to be, something that would cause you to be more reactive. But I would like to pivot. Because kind of continuing your life story, but I believe we were kind of at the point where you fasted for a month straight.
Oh yeah.
And I was just hoping we could unpack that because I'm legitimately just curious. We all also do different fasting practices, but that is next level, bro.
Yeah. So, and just to preface it a little bit, I was at kind of a really low point with a whole bunch of stuff, but like that was really the point of it. The whole bunch of stuff was like at a low point, and I just sold my business. I was clearly turning a big chapter in my life. Like I didn't really know where I was going. But I knew I was moving on, and there were so many things I was really unhappy with. Including just my esteem, my confidence, my clarity, my relationships, like whatever. And fasting had just kept coming across.
You mean it's all connected? In some way?
Well, this is kind of my first like I was just I was like now in my late 20s. I spent my entire 20s just grinding and grinding and grinding as a business owner, with like no regard to long-term health, no protection of my own time and space. This was like I was connected via text or whatever all day long. The opposite of what I am now. And it was the wheels were coming off. The wheels had just come off. I pulled it off for a while, but it hit its end. And I was ready to really turn a page, and I wanted to I was like, man, I'm kind of moving on. I'm kind of rebuilding. Like the next half of my life is starting. I don't even know what I'm going to be doing exactly, but I know I want to feel a lot better than this. And fasting had just kept coming across my path. Like it just showed up in a few different ways, in a few different kind of weird places. And I was like, fasting, podcasts and whatnot. I'm like, all right, like I gotta kind of look into this. And my wife actually, who ended up doing it with me, sort of took the lead on the idea of it. She's the one who was like, we should really look into this.
Cool.
Where in the past I would maybe like read about it, learn about it, like, damn, sounds cool, but like maybe not do it.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, let's do it, and because she was in the same boat, we knew we needed it, so we did 30 days. We didn't plan on doing 30 days. We planned on kind of just going and seeing what happened. The fast that we did, it actually was kind of like a followed protocol, and the term, the name for this specific fast is called the Master Fast. And it's just one guy who has this protocol. Definitely, a little out there. Just warning people if they want to look it up, depending on how you define out there. But there are aspects of it I would maybe not recommend after doing it, but or certain outlooks that he have that I don't fully align with. But it is 30. So we did 30 days, and you do drink juice. You drink grape juice. Basically, it's like the only thing. And what I want to say though is like some people, they hear like, oh, so it's a juice cleanse. I'm like, no, it's not juice. You're drinking juice because especially grape juice for the fast burning sugar. So you actually have some energy, right? You have some outside source energy, but it's almost essentially zero ask from your digestive system. So zero tax on the system.
Right.
But when I say it's not a juice cleanse, because it was very much a spiritually or like emotionally and spiritually driven practice. Like it was like the goal and intention wasn't like, oh, you can lose, you can lose weight. Or it's not like, it's not even like, that's not even part of the discussion with this type of thing. It's purely, it's purely for these reasons. And, so that's why we did it. And in those 30 days, I definitely had some profound breakthroughs. One of which was starting to actually journal and write things down, which now I do every day. And it's anything I have in my life and create and teach is all basically started in my journal, right? In some sense. But really in the month.
Started in nature.
What's that?
Started in nature before you put it in the journal.
That's right. and it's funny. So that's what would happen. So I was not only fasting, and then even after the fast, I started doing these very long walks of just nothing, just no phone, obviously, no nothing, just no destination, just wandering. And I'd come back from these, and I'd just observe. And I'd think, and I'd find little lessons in nature and apply them to my life. And then I'd go home and I'd start writing, and I'd write. And almost entirely what I teach is like based off of those original writings. And the fast though, like in those following weeks, months, and even now years, I still reflect on certain like lessons that end up coming about. And it was the combination of that like emptiness of really cleaning out. So there was also, I did an enema every day, which might sound strange, but like you gotta try to, like the idea was to empty, right? To empty and all the our emotions have physical components to it, and so much of it is in the gut, and then so much of it is in the gut from things that happened in childhood, in years ago, that are just bound up energy in there and whatnot. So It would just be enemas and just emptying and just being this ultimate stillness, really, because it's like after after a week or two, it's like, all right, I don't have to even think about my next meal. I don't have to be worried about food. I just have my own. I'm just here with myself, and like that's it. No input. And that was such a eye-opening experience for me and cleansing experience. And I just got rid of so much shit, literally, that was in my body that was clogging up my intuition and my ability to hear the deep whispers and let that guide me. And the reason I was in that mess that I was in was because I wasn't able to hear them. And I was overloaded, I was overworked, underrested, overstimulated, too toxic to hear any of that stuff. And that's why I was in a mess. That's why I wasn't, my life felt like it was falling apart around me. And now, to surrender to that and reconnect with that voice and to let that now guide me, knowing I have a long way to go. This is a new half of my life. There's no rush. There's no timeline. I'm just going to start listening to this voice again and let it lead me. That's really what I did from that point forward. And that having that fast was such a good hard line of like, I'm changing my life. And I didn't even really know it so much at the time. Like I knew it was a turning point, but like I didn't realize how drastic it was going to be. Of like, I'm now letting my soul guide me. And what's happened in the last now 3.5 years or so since then is a direct result of just following my soul every single day of my life. And, sometimes I struggle, sometimes I still battle with the fears and stuff that everybody does, but generally, I'm in so much of a better place because of that.
That is so cool.
That's beautiful, man.
What an experience. Holy crap.
The experience.
Yeah.
So cool that it was the stem of everything that you're teaching now too, such a rebirth.
Exactly. And that's what's so great about it. Like I'll always look back at it. It was the best thing I've ever done for myself and my life. It just changed my perspective. It changed it changed who I am. It changed who I am. And again, the practices that I instilled afterwards and following, just reconnecting with nature and the way I eat now and just the way I, my meditation and being outside and all that stuff, it's changed who I am. I'm more empathetic, I'm more compassionate, I'm more patient, I'm more loving, caring, kind. I think I don't use the word I'm smarter. I don't like to say it that way, but I think differently, and I think I'm a better thinker. I think a better learner, better thinker, better teacher.
Totally.
All because of this. So all that started with this. So it's really been a wild ride, and I'm just like I can't say enough good things about what's happened since then.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's like a very obviously like acute hard line. I think like to circle back to pretty much everything else we've been talking about. Like the opportunities are many. Mm-hmm. Like all of what we really need to do is hear them or look for them, and so like this is I guess it'll have to be another conversation, but like helping other people bridge the gap. I imagine part of what you're doing is leading from the front. Obviously, like you're paving the way and carrying the torch of sovereignty. Like this is what's possible.
Yeah.
And as a coach, you can only take someone as far as you've gone yourself. Yeah. So like, I appreciate you being like a soldier in that, man. Like, I think that's what Mike and I are trying to do as well. Despite that, again, like it continues to differentiate you from the norm. Mm-hmm. Where like, even, and hopefully it's matched with that empathy and that patience for others, right? To see that, it's okay. They don't have the experience that I have that allows to make that decision.
Exactly. And
at the same time, I'm struggling with I have a son who's the same age as your daughter, and like, it also really matters though. Like some people need to be paying attention to this and like helping other people do, and they don't have to be nuts. They don't have to be like 100% of the day, like Brian Costello or, Mike Armstrong. We know we're not 100%. Let's be real. Who the fuck is?
For sure.
But it is just crazy. But
yeah, it is so important, and it helps. You hit a few things there that I want to say. So first of all, you thanked me for being a leader, a soldier, or something like that. You said, and I just want to add there that like, I'm doing it for me first, right? So like,
yeah,
and then what I'm teaching, and then what I teach in my course is like my selfish, what like everything is for me first, always, and that may sound like super selfish, but like it's really the most selfless thing that I can do because it allows me to now be the absolute best version of myself for my wife, for my daughter, for my clients, for my the people who count on me, and when I say it's very selfish and I do it for me first, it doesn't mean I like disregard everybody else's feelings and schedules and just like me all the time. But every day I'm moving through my life with this intention to be the best version of myself, purely, for me, but with the understanding that this is the only way to be the best version for everyone else, right? If I want to be the best dad and the best husband and the best coach and mentor, the only way to do that is be the best Brian first, right? So
definitely speaking our language. I like to use the metaphor. What they tell you when you get on a plane, like secure your own oxygen mask first, be of best service. Like it is the only real way. Exactly. And obviously as complex entities, like we can serve others and assist like at the same time.
Yeah.
Now that we're continuing to put our own oxygen mask on, like you're helping, it does lend and it does like exist middle out. I mean, with fractals and spirals, right? Just the people you are surrounding, you're around, you're becoming your environment either way.
Yeah.
So like it's great to have people like yourself and like to have a friend like Mike and a few other like really close buddies to be like, hey, we're gonna be like this despite what anybody else is doing, so we just believe in it for us.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're gonna be at their own path of understanding. But
yeah, absolutely. And what's cool for me is, and this is kind of how I now follow my intuition to lead me here, like I now, like, it also is the more I learn about creating the best version of yourself, like, that's essentially what I'm teaching people to do, and I'm teaching them to teach their clients to do it. So it's like, I joke around sometimes, it's like, basically, my job is to be the healthiest, happiest person on the planet, and then just teach other people how to do the same thing, right? So it's like, it's a guilt-free, in a lot of ways, guilt-free conquest, or, quest into the searching for this mastery, because I'm not just going to take what I learn and go like, live happily, like all by myself, which I don't even think you could do anyway. I think it has to be shared. But like I literally learn things, turn around the next day and can teach people and help people who have their own clients that they can go teach and help. One of the things we instill is that we do it all in a way where even those clients can go and teach it to their kids and family and stuff, all in kind of the same way. So it's like, if I can learn these concepts, break it down into these everyday language and lessons and relay it through this ripple, that's the what other life could I ask for, right? So
well,
that's incredible.
Yeah, it's
one
cool.
thing in like Mike's and my like ongoing discussions regarding like the previous conversations feeling a bit forced. Like I think what we're even after is being able to talk through these things and like provide clarity for ourselves, having the opportunity to like explore the thought in real time. And then like maybe the people that are best served to listen to this episode are the three of us.
Yes. Right.
You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, so that's how I said it. But like this time I'll say it better.
Yes.
Next time, because
then it makes us better to make the ripple larger.
Yeah, we're trying to be better at distilling these larger concepts into, sizable chunks, right?
Yeah.
And I know that's what you're doing,
and
as a living and like creating these programs for that. And I think that's amazing, man. I want to say thanks again.
Yeah, no problem. And you're right about that too, because it is, the more you say these things, you get better at delivering it. You realize, what certain things land with people differently, and like, so now like my whole course, it's essentially like, it's like 80 video modules long or whatever. Most of them are like 15 to 30 minutes or more. But like, it's essentially like 200 or so, like 5-minute little like blurbs, like just kind of in sequence, right? Of like in some kind of order. But those little blurbs and like little thoughts or teaching points, I had to like, again, most of them started as like a little like aha moment. I journaled about it. Then I like re-journaled about it, said it a little different. Then maybe I did like a blog post about it, or an Instagram post like way back about it. Then I turned it into like a short video. And then, so by this point it's getting refined and refined and refined, that now like we talk, like I have like little names for them and stuff. So like when this when this topic comes up, I like turn to this lesson, boom, and I can in 5 minutes like deliver it, right? But it took a process of having these conversations and saying things over and over and over, until the point where it's like, oh, now I can teach it concisely and clearly, and it lands, and they almost can't like not understand it, and they can like go and reteach it to someone else. So it's like you said, as you do that over and over, it just you get better and better at doing it, and then the listeners or the audience, whoever it is, benefits more. So it's I mean, we're just
we're thinking like the most valuable thing is our own ability to re-listen, but then also like just finding a couple of pieces of gold that you're saying out loud that someone else may never have seen. So you're putting on Instagram just because you are engaged in the conversation, and now like trying to refine it for the ears of somebody else, because we're doing it in a non-selfish way. Like, it's like a secret we want you to know, and like here it is,
and it's free,
right? Yeah, and it forces you to say it better, and many times taking it to that final stage of like, I have this thought, but I'm going to do a video on it, or I'm going to talk about it. Like, that final stage made me really realize, how to say it and whatnot, and having that little drive of like wanting it to sound good, wanting it to look good, wanting it to be sellable, wanting it to be a product. Like, some people argue that there's now ego involved there or whatever, but that little drive is kind of like this podcast example. It forces you to take one further step to make it a real thing, that now it actually benefits people. It doesn't really benefit people in my journal on my dresser. Totally. It benefits them when I can make it into a product that makes sense, that solves a problem for them, that I can attach a price to, like all these things that help me, yes, but now it's the only way that person's actually going to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. Or just engaging with you in real life.
What's that?
Because,
say again?
And also just engaging with you in real life, though. Like, they're going to benefit from your journaling either way, because like you're just treating people better when you see them.
Yes. Oh, yes. Of course.
Totally.
And like, there's a clear connection. You've made the clear, like, conscious connection. Like, it's because of my practice.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Good point.
Which is amazing.
All right.
Well, what's up, Mikey? You guys have any closing thoughts here? I think this was excellent. I'm super glad that you came on.
Yeah, I mean, this has been, I've loved all the conversations because I've learned, but this has been definitely the easiest and really fun to listen to you, Brian, and get to know you more. I hope to definitely have another recorded chat at some point in the near future, because I like your style, man.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. I appreciate that very much. I would definitely be on board to do that more and explore, any topics that you guys want to get into. It's like, I like the idea of just seeing where it takes us, but there's a lot of other areas we could go that I do enjoy talking. I have put a lot of thought into my thoughts.
Yeah, sense, dude, you could be the first recurring guest, and we just let it ride.
Sure.
I love it.
I'm down with
that. Again, that's gonna be our accountability then, because that's exactly what happened the first time.
Exactly.
So you're kicking around this idea, like, all right, well, shit, I got to do at least a couple before you come on.
Right. Cool.
Heck yeah.
Maybe you could be guest like 14.
Yeah, perfect. Well, actually, you know what? Let's do that, because here's why. I read it, and who knows if it's accurate or not, but basically like 95 to 98% of podcasts don't make it past episode 13.
Interesting.
For some reason, that's the number. So 14 would be the breakthrough episode, and I'd love to be that guest.
Oh, let's make that happen for sure.
We certainly will. Hey, we'll hook you up with Goda, and we'll be chatting, man.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, I know we'll all be practicing between now and then, so we'll see what comes up.
Exactly. Very cool. Awesome, guys. Yeah.
All right, thanks again, brother.
Yeah, thank you, dude.
See ya.
No problem. Yeah, let's talk soon.
See you, man.
Later, Mike.
Thank you. See you, Curdy.
Meeting you, Mike. Yeah.
Awesome. Take care, guys.
A lot of fun.